Welcome back to Project Dakar. We've already begun putting the engine back together in the last episode, and in today's episode, we're pushing it even further, reinstalling the intake, exhaust, wiring harness, and rebuilding the power steering pump as we get this engine nearly ready to run again. Let's jump in. Okay, before we put the intake manifold on, we're going to go ahead and replace the crankcase ventilation system. This is one of those pesky, annoying things that you don't really want to do while the intake manifold's in the car. So I'm just going to do it preemptively. You typically don't want to cheap out on these systems. You want to buy OEM or OE if possible, because they tend to crap out if they're cheap knockoffs or whatever. So just get a reputable brand and you should be good. Okay, I've got those bolts loose. There it is. So this looks original. I don't know if it's ever been replaced, but it is an OEM BMW one, but it's probably due for replacing, so it's a good thing we went and got the new one. Got to install this little rubber grommet gasket thing. Let's go ahead and stick this in. Okay. You can buy just the ventilation system itself without the hoses for a little bit cheaper, but in my opinion, it's just better to replace the hoses. The one that comes here and goes to the valve cover especially tends to break and lead to vacuum leaks, which you'll be chasing. So at the very least, replace this hose, in my opinion. Okay, and of course we got to replace our intake manifold gaskets. They're not reusable. You definitely should replace these anytime you pull off the intake manifold. Just went ahead and made sure the gasket surface is as clean as possible. We'll go ahead and take our gaskets now and insert them. And just make sure all the surface that is mating is clear from any debris and stuff that'll keep it from seating correctly. Just gonna insert the gasket now into the channel. Okay, let's get this on here. Just gotta go ahead and make sure the coolant hose that goes to the throttle body is fed through properly. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that now and just stuff it through. Let's get this thing on. Okay, so this Y little harness right here, the one goes to the Vanos solenoid, the other one will go up into our injector harness once that's on. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and sneak this in and try and get it on the Vanos. Okay, there's the Vanos, and then we can go ahead and leave this here for now so we can come back later and put it on the injector harness. Okay, we're gonna have this longer wire come down here. This might not be the exact correct routing pattern. I'll go back later and look, but that plugs in here to our our intake temperature sensor, I believe. And over here, we're gonna go ahead and take the other side of that harness that has the Y on it, and that's gonna go into our crank positioning sensor. Perfect. The rest of these wires are pretty much for the starter, which we'll get in later. Go ahead and put the nuts on down here. While we're up here, we can go ahead and peel off that old intake gasket to clean up that surface. I'm gonna go ahead and put the new gasket in. Just make sure it's all seated properly. Let's go ahead and torque the throttle body now. I couldn't get an exact torque spec, but 11 foot-pounds or 130 inch-pounds should be pretty adequate. Perfect. Let's go ahead and get the intake manifold torqued now. 11 foot-pounds or 130 inch-pounds. Just like that, the intake manifold's back on. Okay, while we're over here, let's go ahead and get the injector harness on. Should be as easy as just pushing it back on and into place. Perfect. Go ahead and put those back into their spots. And then we can go ahead and take that sensor from earlier that we were talking about that splits with the Y and plug it back in. Oh, sorry. This sensor right here goes to the little vacuum sensor in the intake plenum here. There we are. This one goes in here. Perfect. Go ahead and get this crankcase ventilation hose on and start really buttoning this thing up. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put the dipstick back in now. Let's go ahead and replace the hose that's on it though first. This goes to the crankcase ventilation system from the dipstick, obviously. I must admit that was one of the harder hoses to get on. I'm gonna transfer over this bracket. And then of course, a brand new dipstick O-ring. It's important to replace this one. I've had that cause a lot of pain when I rebuilt a M54 before. I did replace it and it was leaking out of that. So definitely recommend replacing it. Okay. Go ahead and plug in this sensor up top. Let's go ahead and get the coolant lines on. The one that goes from the coolant pipe that goes into the engine is going to be on the rear, and the one that comes from the head goes on the front. If I had to guess, his torque spec is going to be the same as this, so 11 foot-pounds or 130 inch-pounds. Plug in the idle control valve here. Forgot that. Let's see, what else do we have to plug in? I have a few vacuum lines we'll have to take care of, but as of now, we're going to leave them for now. Let's go ahead and get the crankcase ventilation pipe that goes to the valve cover on. These pretty much just snap into place, like so. Let's go ahead and replace this vacuum line now. Bought some new hose, so it's best to just replace some of these things like this. They are quite dry rotted and, ooh, that hurt. Let's go ahead and put this new one. Unfortunately, it's blue. Luckily, you won't see it, so it won't look too out of place. So this vacuum line is going to go ahead and attach up into the intake manifold up here on this underneath this left runner, and it goes into the bottom of it that points this way, not the one that comes out. Go ahead and route it back through here just to get it out of the way. Using our old vacuum line as a template, we're going to make a new one for the other side of this vacuum pipe. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and install the vacuum pipe back on with the new vacuum line. This side looks to be replaced. I don't think it's normally white, but it looks like it's good, in good order. So, since these nuts are Vanos mounting nuts. We're going to go ahead and torque them to the 10 Newton meter torque spec that the Vanos has. We have a brand new thermostat housing to install. So we're going to go ahead and install the seal first, and then put the thermostat in. Got a brand new thermostat with a brand new O-ring. Just insert it right there. Make sure it's nice and seated. And of course, make sure the gasket surface is as clean as possible, and there's any debris in the openings is cleared from it. Okay, let's go ahead and put our thermostat housing on. Let's go ahead and torque down the thermostat to 10 Newton meters. Okay, thermostat is now on. I have a brand new HEPU water pump. I went with the metal impeller option. I haven't had a good time with the plastic ones. I've had them blow up on me and find their way through the coolant passages, which, you know, freaks me out just because I don't want it to block a passage or anything. So I went with the metal one. There's mixed reviews on them. Really, it's up to your own personal preference, but this is what I went with. Going to run in the nuts real quick and then torque them down to 10 Newton meters as well. Before I forget, I'm going to take this vacuum line and connect it up here to the other part of the vacuum valve underneath the first runner here. So now we have those vacuum lines all plumbed up, and we should be good on this side for the most part. Okay, let's go ahead and get our new studs on for the exhaust manifold. I went ahead and got N52 studs, which have the E-Torx bit on the end, so it makes installation easier, and as well as if you ever take it off or take off the exhaust manifold again, you can counter hold it so you don't strip or pull the stud out again. Okay, let's put the studs back in for the exhaust manifold. I went with the N52 studs. They're a little bit shorter than the S52, but they should work, and they have this nice E-Torx bit on the end. So that's super convenient for installation, as well as if you ever are taking the exhaust manifold off again, you can use that to counter hold as you take the nut off so it doesn't pull the stud with it again. So let's go ahead and install all these and get our exhaust manifold on. Let's go ahead and install this bracket back here that holds the O2 sensor wiring harness. Just a little clip on right here. Just press it on, and then a 10mm that screws into the back of the head. Let's go ahead and replace the crush washer on the coolant drain on the side of the block. And then this bolt is then torqued to 25 Newton meters. Okay, let's go ahead and get our exhaust manifold on and torqued. OEM gasket, and we'll go ahead and install our exhaust manifold. These are all brand new copper nuts. The copper nuts, you can use the original nuts. I know I used the N52 studs. These nuts are a little cheaper than the N52s, and they're the same M7 stud or nut, so they work perfectly fine. Now let's go ahead and install the manifold, the rear manifold. Let's go ahead and install the gasket on this end first. I'm an idiot. There we go, now we can install that. Don't be like me, make sure to torque down this nut as well as this nut before you put the secondary air pump valve on. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to torque it properly. So let's get those out of the way. If you do use the N52 studs, I do want to preface with a warning. The studs that go with the secondary air pump stuff, the engagement of the threads is pretty small or pretty minimal, and I actually did strip one of the studs, as well as the washer got ruined, or nut, sorry. So luckily I had a spare, so we were able to make that work, but you might be better off using the original studs for that, just so you have the better engagement that is meant to be there. And then just to tidy up some of the wires, we can take the O2 sensors and this front one, we can put it in the little metal guide back here to get it out of the way. As well as put it up on this, the valve cover guide, and then we could slip the second manifold O2 sensor wire in with it. Pretty sure this side is mostly complete. Scratch that, we can go ahead and plug in this vacuum line and should be good on this side for now. I think the next step on this side will be getting the engine mounting arm on, but that'll be done while we're in the car. Oh, excuse me, I do need to put the AC bracket on still, so one more thing to do. Went ahead and got the bolts pretty much tightened from the front. They're a little bit annoying to get to, so you had to get it with an open-ended wrench, which took forever. I couldn't find a spec for these bolts, so I'm just gonna get them nice and snug. Click, 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 click. All right, AC condenser bracket is now on. I think we're gonna shift now and go ahead and take a look at the power steering pump. And we're gonna do a rebuild on that, as well as a couple miscellaneous tasks we need to do in the engine bay. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the power steering pump now. We're gonna need to get this all cleaned up and do a little rebuild on it. So let's go ahead and take it apart. We've already done it once before, but let's fully disassemble it and turn it, including the internals. Okay, there's our bracket off. Just gotta make note of anything important. I don't see anything that makes it align any particular way. But here is our pump separated now. We're gonna have to go ahead and take that bracket off. Ooh. Perfect. This thing is disgusting. It really needs cleaned up. So be careful not to scratch the pump internals, but okay, got the little gasket off. So there are two different seals within that. One goes on top of the other. The little thinner one goes on top, which we'll be replacing all of these, so it doesn't really matter, but just a note. Okay, there's that seal. So I went ahead and 3D printed a little wedge here, and we're going to use that now to pry up on the two little spots like that. And that gets this piece off here. Now we're going to go ahead and just slide these in. Okay, I believe this also just pops on out. Yep. That's proving to be difficult, so I guess we'll go ahead and get this C-clamp off. This is notoriously pretty hard to get off, and you do not want to scratch the surface, so just be very careful.
There we go. That took a second. Hopefully I didn't damage the surface very much. Give it a good wipe real quick and just check it. Okay, and with that we can take out this shaft here. There's that. There we go. There's one dowel. Seems like this dowel is stuck over here a little. Perfect. Keep all the veins there. There we go. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and throw this in the ultrasonic cleaner and get it all cleaned up. We can go ahead and try to pry the seal out real quick too. There we are. Just make sure not to damage the surface that the seal sits in. Ours looks clean. Overall, I'd say this pump is in pretty decent shape. Nothing looks too scratched up or damaged, so it'll definitely be good to rebuild it and get it back in the car. These are no longer available brand new, so it's pretty much a rebuild regardless. Just whether you have a good pump or not is the question. Just to absolutely launch that, well, I'm going to take out these two so we can fully thoroughly clean this. Just make sure that you don't have it go flying like I did. Also, try your best not to bend this out of shape. I've heard of some people bending it and then it won't hold well. So, and I'm quite certain you cannot find this piece to purchase. So, just be careful if you're going to take it fully apart like that. But this will get us the best clean, so that's why I wanted to do that.
And that's it for episode 9. The S52 engine is almost back together. There will be more progress to come in episode 10, so make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.